Hey everyone, got a big social studies test coming up on early American history? Well, you are in the perfect spot. We're going to break down everything you need to know about the Columbian Exchange and the Spanish Conquests so you can totally ace that test. Okay, let's just jump right in with a massive question. What do you think happens when two worlds that have never ever met before, suddenly collide? We're talking different people, different animals, different plants, everything. Well, back in 1492, that's exactly what happened. And let me tell you, it changed the entire planet forever.
So our story really kicks off with one super famous voyage in 1492, when Christopher Columbus and his ships landed in the Americas. It was literally the first time these two halves of the Earth had ever connected. This single event started a chain reaction that, honestly, is still going on today.
Now, the moment Columbus met the native Taino people, something called the Columbian Exchange began. And you're definitely going to need to know this term. Think of it like the biggest swap meet in the history of the world. But instead of trading baseball cards or toys, they were swapping, well, everything. Food, animals, new ideas, and yeah, also some really bad stuff like diseases. So what exactly was on the trading block in this great global swap? We are not talking about a few small items here. We're talking about things that would completely revolutionize how people ate, how they lived, and even how they fought wars on both sides of the big Atlantic Ocean. So check this out. A lot of this stuff seems totally normal to us now, right? But can you believe that before 1492, there were no tomatoes in Italy, no pizza sauce, no potatoes in Ireland? The Americas gave the world things like corn, potatoes, and peanuts. And coming the other way, Europe brought over wheat, cattle, pigs, and of course horses. And those horses, oh man, they were a total game changer. We'll get to that in a sec. All right, let's start with the good news. For Europe, getting all this new food was amazing. Corn and potatoes were super easy to grow and full of energy. This meant fewer people went hungry, and the population of Europe actually started to boom. And remember those horses? For Native Americans on the Great Plains, horses completely transformed their way of life. Hunting huge animals like buffalo suddenly became way easier. But, and this is a really important but, the exchange had a tragic dark side. The Europeans brought over diseases like smallpox and measles without even knowing it. The native people's bodies had never fought off these germs before, so they had no immunity. It was devastating. Millions and millions died. And on top of that, the Spanish enslaved many native people. And when so many of them died from disease, the Spanish started bringing enslaved people from Africa over to the Americas to do the work instead. It was an awful, forced movement of people that was also part of this exchange. So you see, this whole thing wasn't just about swapping potatoes and pigs. The Spanish weren't really there to start new farms. Nope, they were after something much shinier: gold. Okay, highlighter time. Here's a vocabulary word that you absolutely have to know for your test. Conquistador. It's a Spanish word that means conqueror. These were the Spanish soldiers and adventurers who came to the Americas to claim huge amounts of land for Spain and, you guessed it, get super rich. And believe me, this all happened incredibly fast. In just a couple of decades, these conquistadors managed to take down two of the biggest and most powerful empires in the Americas. We're going to focus on three main guys: Ponce de Leon, Cortez, and Pizarro. So first up is Juan Ponce de Leon. He's the one who landed in a place he called La Florida, which means full of flowers because it was so green. The story goes he was looking for two things: gold, of course, and a legendary magical fountain of youth that could make you live forever. Spoiler alert, he found neither.
Now, while Ponce de Leon came up empty-handed, other conquistadors were much more successful in their mission. They didn't just find gold, they found entire empires. So let's look at what happened when they met two of the greatest civilizations in the Americas, the Aztecs and the Incas.
Real quick, let's make sure we're on the same page. What even is an empire? Basically, it's a huge area with lots of different groups of people and cities, all ruled by one single leader or government. And let me tell you, the Aztec and Inca empires were absolutely massive.
So, this conquistador, Hernán Cortés, hears whispers of a city of gold in modern-day Mexico. He takes his small army and marches right into the heart of the Aztec Empire. He arrives at their capital, Tenochtitlan, which was one of the biggest, most amazing cities in the entire world. And there, he meets the emperor, Moctezuma. Moctezuma actually welcomed him with gifts of gold. But for Cortés, it wasn't enough.
So how in the world did a few hundred Spanish soldiers take down an empire of millions of people? This is a huge question, and it's probably going to be on your test. There are three main reasons. 1. Native allies. The Aztecs had made a lot of enemies, and those enemies were happy to team up with Cortés. 2. Weapons. The Spanish had steel swords and armor. And 3. Horses. The Aztecs had never even seen a horse before, and these big, powerful animals were terrifying in battle.
All right, now let's travel way south, high up into the Andes Mountains of South America. Another conquistador, Francisco Pizarro, heard his own rumors of an empire that was dripping with gold and silver, so he set off to find the Inca Empire.
Pizarro's plan was incredibly bold. With just a small group of men, he managed to ambush and capture the Inca emperor himself, a guy named Atahualpa. To get his freedom back, Atahualpa made one of the most incredible offers in history. He promised to fill a huge room with gold and silver.
And he did it. The Incas brought treasure from all over the empire and filled the room, just like he promised. But, in a terrible act of betrayal, Pizarro broke his promise. He had Atahualpa killed anyway. After that, he marched his army to the Inca capital of Cusco and conquered it, bringing the mighty Inca Empire to an end.
Okay, deep breath. I know, that was a ton of information. So right now, let's do a super quick review of the key facts you absolutely need to remember. This is the stuff that's going to be on the test, so listen up. Here it is, your ultimate conquistador cheat sheet. Ponce de Leon, Florida, looking for gold. Hernán Cortés, Mexico, conquered the Aztecs for gold. Francisco Pizarro, South America, conquered the Incas for gold. Are you noticing a pattern here? Yeah, it was pretty much all about the riches.
And finally, let's do a rapid-fire vocab review. Columbian exchange, the great global swap. Conquistador, a Spanish conqueror. Empire, a big area with one ruler. And the capitals you need to know. Tenochtitlan was the Aztec capital, and Cusco was the Inca capital. Got it? Good.
All right, I'm going to leave you with one last question to think about. We've talked about all these huge changes, the new foods, the animals, the diseases, the fall of empires, but what do you think was the single biggest, most important change that came from the Columbian exchange? There's no one right answer, but it's a great question to think about. Okay, that's a wrap. You've got this. Good luck on your test.